Alright, welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to be going over gathering reference and getting started with the sketches for this weapon design and just showing the process and breaking down the things that the client wants and that I'm going to try and achieve in some of my design goals. And I'm currently doing the class for the Patreon page, and so I'll be also talking with people in between if you're watching this later. I want to have some like really unique shapes, but I also want to somehow mix it in with something a bit more simple and mechanical, because I feel like for me, I kind of started doing design with like this really random abstract shapes and like not very mechanical, and I feel like for me my weakness has always been doing mechanical stuff that feels a bit more believable, and so I really want to in this next design kind of do a better job of this, and leverage some more of a, I don't know how to explain, like proper construction techniques. I don't know. And also not just think about shapes so much. Like I want to maybe make stuff a bit more simple and see what I can get away with, try some new stuff. Maybe I should try photo bashing. I've never done it before for a concept. Maybe that'd be cool. I don't know. Why not? And yeah, it's a very open-ended kind of client request. Like I have a lot of freedom, so let's see. I want to have some cool materials. That'll be my goal. Okay. We should establish some goals for this first sketch. I'm probably going to do like 3 sketches, pick one, and then get into the modeling. But in this first video, I'm just going to cover the first sketch. So I'm going to gather some pictures that kind of express my goals for the design. I would say this is actually a big one. I love this. Alright, that's enough. Alright, so I'm going to get started with sketching and just see where we go from there. So the only thing that the client requested from this design is that I integrate the logo into it. And yep, so that's what I'm going to try and do. But first, I'm going to just kind of start with some sketches because I'd rather have something to work with and then work the logo in later. And I'm drawing with a mouse at the moment. I'm just going to be looking for some shapes and thinking about some kind of function that I could have. The only real functional request is that it's a laser weapon. So I'm just going to doodle at the moment and not really focus on like much more than just shape. And my whole goal right now is just to find something a bit more unique. I feel like I've drawn this gun 100 times. And so usually like if I see a shape that I've already done, I'm trying to find a new one that I haven't done. Having a big stock would give a lot of room for the logo, but I don't know about it yet. I'm thinking what would be really cool, because I want to focus on having a better use of materials. It could be really cool to have like this big red metal cylinder here that's like an aluminum. Have a single body made out of plastic, and then have some like webbing that will come out and support the cylinder. I think it's really important in this stage to be more loose. And being loose, I think, is a very difficult skill for me to develop over time. And I'm slowly getting better at this whole sketching thing because when I was growing up, I had a very, I think, mechanical brain about this type of stuff, like drawing. Like I was the kind of kid who drew everything really sharp and with very specific lines. And it kind of is how my brain works. Like it needs reasons for things to do them. And I think it's a strength and a weakness at the same time. Like a lot of the people that I knew who were kids, they could just draw very loosely and represent things. And for me, I have to have a lot of intention, and it's something I had to work very hard on. I'm still working on improving. Just thinking about forms of this piece of metal, like what could the forms be? I don't want it to be just a cylinder. That'd be boring. But I also don't want it to be too crazy, so maybe something functional, like what does the cylinder do? It's probably carrying some sort of gas or, equipment that I need for the function, like for, making the weapon fire. This I was thinking could be some sort of handle, but I think suddenly it's starting to get a little bit too large visually, and I don't like it. But I do like some of this negative space here and some of this stuff, so I'm going to try and find some sort of way to keep both. Because I'm thinking like if I have something here, it could maybe be a way of either holding the gun or pulling out the magazine. If this is the magazine, I don't even know. I'm literally just bullshitting around right now. So, and basically my process oftentimes is just make something and then I won't like it, and then once I don't like it, I just change it, and then over time I have something I like. And so like there's this very sawtooth shape, like I have a strong one, like a straight line and then an angle. And so I'm thinking about basically kind of playing with this on the top as well. And thinking about, what's the shape personality? Like maybe it's some kind of a warthog or some sort of aggressive animal. I don't know yet. I don't even know if I want it to be an aggressive gun or an elegant gun. I don't like that I changed this piece. And also the scale is very bad, so we need to change this as well. I don't like that I cut out this negative space. It's just too much. Too much detail. Much better. And then I need to change the scale. It just shouldn't be this large, I think. And there's still like probably about 1,000 questions I have about this weapon, but like where do you hold it? All of this stuff, I have no idea right now. But for me, I think the most important thing is to just find the main idea. And so I don't like the idea of having a usual trigger place. And so I'm thinking maybe like placing the handle directly in the middle of the gun could look cool, and then making it asymmetrical. Just something I never did before. Actually, I did do something like this, but it was for an NDA client, and it really sucks because it's actually probably one of my favorite designs I've done, and most unique, and I can never show it by contract, even though the game already exists, and they even posted a video with it. I don't know if I'm legally even allowed to say that I worked on it. And it's unfortunate, but that was one of my favorite guns. And so I'm liking this idea of like having some sort of weird mechanical shape here. I'm not sure exactly how to integrate it. Like I'm thinking right now about which material this piece will be and how I'm going to connect it to the gun, to the rest of the gun. And so I'm picturing this handle thing being all metal. I think I think I was talking about it in my last class I taught. I'm not sure. Yeah, I was basically saying like I don't know, whenever the last time I was talking to myself, I guess when I was modeling the pistol and I was posting the videos all the time. Like I was always saying, you know, whenever I'm doing something a lot, I'm trying to avoid doing it again. Because if you do the same thing too much, you kind of get locked in a box, and it's super hard not to do it. And so, for example, yeah, like I don't know how to understand this. There's this thing, you know, that's always bothered me about what I make in art. Like I always try to have like shapes that flow. And for me to break out of this feeling and still make it look good is very much difficult for me because I'm trying to basically, like, okay, everybody has a recipe for success, like what they know how to do, and that it'll look good and they can count on it and rely on it, you know, for production or whatever. And when you have a pattern that you use and that you're used to, and that's how your brain kind of works, it can be very difficult to change it unless you have like a client or somebody who's on the outside saying you need to do it differently or else it's not good enough. And so for me, I often struggle not to think about shapes and having them flow. And so I notice like for me it's very difficult to just like place a shape somewhere randomly. Like especially a big one or like even a shape that has nothing to do with the flow. Like I would never do a shape like this. But maybe I could find a way to make it work. I really don't know how to explain this, but it's something that I've always struggled with is kind of being very random. I like to be slow, and it's good because it's like part of my style, but it's also makes it difficult at times to break away from my style. Like I'm always you know, finding a lot of similar patterns in my art. And so right now I'm thinking this will be kind of like a simple unibody plastic with a lot of space here because I like this actually. It's very simple. I really fucking hate this though. Looks like shit. And so I'm actually a bit happy with the idea at the moment. We just need to refine it. Figure out like the negative spaces. where the details are going to be. No, I don't like this detail. So normally I would add some crazy detail here, so I'm not going to do it now. I'm going too far into detail for literally no reason, so I'm going to stop doing that. And we need to look at the bigger picture. Like the proportions are not figured out right now at all. They're very rough. I think it should be a longer gun like this. There's plenty of space everywhere for this. Perfect. And so I could see some very complex like forms going on here. And I want to add some more crazy ref and try and push myself a bit more. So let's look at Brian Sum. One thing I really love is he's doing some really insane forms, and they're like they're almost modelable, some of them. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But I find a lot of times instead of just taking like the whole image, just take a few pictures. Up close, and you can start seeing more like the edge treatment and the form treatment rather than, you know. Then being distracted by the whole image. When you just see a few small pieces, it helps you to focus a little bit more, I think. So let's cover what we have. Put up here. Edges aren't perfect. Proportions suck. Some more negative space. Shape was too typical, what I'd usually do. I think I need a more thin piece here. And the thing is, having some more complex stuff in the sketch can help you to push yourself to do forms maybe you couldn't have imagined when you're modeling. And that's the most difficult part, is to not always have the same forms. And I think even things like this circle size are very crucial to get right. thinking about all the space that's around them, like if it's the right size or not. It's okay. It's not very striking, but I don't care right now. It's just a quick sketch. So what wouldn't I usually do? I wouldn't usually put this on top. Don't know. Maybe it'll look cool. Let's see. It can also just be part of the concept, you know, it doesn't have to be actual function. I can figure out the function later. And I'm actually still thinking about how I would model all of these forms right now. All right, let me think. So how would a person hold this? They would definitely need to have a handle, and they would need to have a trigger. And so and also remember, you know, it's just a sketch, so a lot of this stuff will change in the final. And I just want to get the thickness of this hand grip right. My goal is really just to find something I haven't done before, haven't seen. And I don't like how crazy a lot of the shapes are, so I'm going to simplify it a bit. Or just find a more pleasing combination, or a more unique one too. I think it's a bit too predictable at the moment. So I'm picturing this is more like a circular form that I will mold sideways in with these like forms on this plastic casing here. Let's just do some like nice typical bolts. You know, my goal for this is not to have a nice drawing, just like basic idea. And then just thinking very carefully about like the pattern in which I place them across the design and how many I have. I think 4 is enough. Thinking about the spacing and the placement. Which means also it's going to be a very asymmetric gun, so it could be cool. It's actually, see, this is the problem. Is this is supposed to be 2 days of work, and I can do it, but, you know, because I have freedom, and if I want to take longer, I can. There's no real deadline. So I always end up, you know, getting and enjoying it more than is financially viable. But you know what? It's fun. So it's fun portfolio work. My rule for portfolio work, like I already said, is, you know, if there's no NDA and I have a lot of creative freedom and I can kind of just go crazy, then I will do it for less money because, you know, it's enjoyable and you get paid at the same time, so why not? All right, so here I have these shapes and I want to make them work together maybe. I'm not sure about it yet. This area is a bit too difficult. Actually, it's too crazy. It's too complex. I don't want it. I want to keep it nice and simple here. Maybe something else. So one of my goals for this design is I wanted to have some like clear plastic pieces. And it's actually almost always one of my goals. And then I get sidetracked with other pursuits, other parts of the design. So I'm going to start thinking about this right now, so that way I can still do it. Let's see. Okay, what's something I wouldn't normally do? Having a cage. I could add a cage to everything, but not right now. Think about it later. Alright, at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit lost. I don't know exactly what I want to do because I like some of what I have, but, you know, I need to decide, I guess, what am I going to do to make it really stand out? Like, so what are the things we're missing is what I need to figure out. I think maybe some sort of like cage could be cool. Because, like, yeah, we have all the parts. Like, we have the magazine, kind of. We have the functional piece. We have the barrel. We have the handle. We have the thing that combines everything. But what's that thing that really makes it unique? What makes it really stand out? I still don't know yet. So that's kind of what I'm pursuing at the moment. And like something like this is cool, like having maybe some negative space here and some kind of structure, but it doesn't really make sense. Like I can't, in my mind, make an excuse as to why I would need this. And so if I can't make an excuse, at least even a little bit, I'm struggling a little bit with it. Like why? But so this is the thing. It's not necessarily that it's a bad idea. It's that we just need to make some excuses up. Also, I came up with a new shape that I can mix, which is having I'm gonna have a cylinder, and I'm gonna place it so it's like this is the 3/4 view of this area. So place it here, and then I'm gonna fade it out like this, and then have some like complex intersections. I think that could look really nice. Oh, but you know, it'd look cooler is if it was an angle, but we can't do it in an angle. So I have to do it in an angle sideways, like this. because not only will that look cooler to have it at an angle sideways, but also it'll look better because I was thinking about having it go straight up and down, but it won't play very well with this handle area, and it's just boring, like honestly. Straight up and down is not that difficult to model and not that interesting to integrate. So I'm not going to do it. And this is going to be punched in, by the way, so like there's going to be a layer to it. What could be clear plastic on this? And this is going to be like holding a piece of glass that'll be the display screen. So what could this piece be? What's something I don't usually do? Well, let's think. What could this be? What could this rail be? Like, could it have something weird that I wouldn't normally do? Like, what if it had some sort of notches here? But what would they do? What would their function be? I need to figure this out. I am reading what you guys are writing in the chat. I see. All right, so yeah, feel free to ask your question. Of course, always. I like this piece of plastic here, by the way. It looks nice. Looks very realistic. I want to do stuff like this. So I'll find places for this. Maybe I should, you know what? That's something I don't normally have is attachments. Oh, I need an attachment. But I also need to think about the deadline, so I don't know. We'll see about it. So when I have a design problem like this, I don't know exactly what to do next. Okay, somebody said before you had to tow similar stuff on the top and the bottom. Which part? Oh, the toe stuff, like feet? Yeah, I was trying to echo it, like some angles, like, okay, some angles are like this and some are like this. And lining them up throughout the model. I try to align most of my diagonals, or like a good amount of them. And yeah, so I'm trying to add like this structure throughout them and echo them a lot. I kind of at this point do it without thinking though, so I don't really notice when I'm doing it. I also should think about, like, I want this actually to be a very heavy weapon. I'm actually excited about this idea, but I need to approach it correctly. So, alright, so basically we have a lot of the main pieces. Right now we need to figure out the barrel, and the barrel is going to be very difficult because I want the barrel to feel very unique. I don't want it to just be like a big straight piece of metal. Alright, so in this case I was really happy with what I had, but I wasn't happy enough to keep it, so I'm killing my baby, and I'm going to start over. So I want this barrel probably to end like over past this piece ending, so that way it has a more strong silhouette. But the thing is, I really don't like how this steps. I really, really dislike this. And so I want to find a way to do this without making it look like every other gun that I've done, but I also don't want it to have this step. I feel like it's difficult. Like, should I have the barrel be like in line with the trigger? Or should I think I should have it lower, because if it's a heavy weapon, it's more of like a hand, it's like you want to hold it a little bit lower. And it just looks cooler and more aggressive. Alright, what's some stuff we can play with? Because this is definitely going to be the most difficult part of the design for me. So I'm going to start trying to do some different shapes I can play with. And I can just photo bash them around the drawing. I learned graphic design, to answer your question. I didn't really learn graphic design. I just learned shapes and stuff, and I'm still learning it, you know, like whole life thing, right? But I learned basically about it when I was working at 343. Just from one artist, though. And that's kind of how I got into this whole design thing, because the only art I ever made was shapes, you know, so I only focused on shape. I didn't make realistic art, like mechanical functional art. I only made sci-fi shapes. And so basically my whole job was just to make stuff look cool. And so because I had a lot of freedom, you know, it's kind of where a lot of my strengths are coming from, because I mostly did, I guess what you would call graphic design. It could open up like teeth, but that's like really easy, predictable. I've already done so many sets of teeth on these guns. Just don't like it. So I'm gonna just start thinking about some other stuff right now. And eventually I'm gonna return my brain back to this. So I'm just thinking about some cool shapes maybe, and what they could do. Alright, so I'm probably gonna do another pass on this and delete all of this tomorrow. But yeah, I'll just do a quick color wrap up and kind of get the general idea fleshed in, and then tomorrow I'll record some videos of the final. Like I'm probably gonna do 2 or 3 gun sketches, or just one really nice one of this, and then that'll be the design that I'm gonna do, since I have total freedom. Um, and yeah, so let's see. And that way I can get an idea of like kind of what I want it to be. This is like a rough draft basically. Okay, someone said, Alex, how much detail do you push in 2D before 3D? Uh, it depends. See you, Night Milan. Nice to see you guys. And the deadline for the challenge is at the end of next month. All right. But yeah, so I mean, for me, you know, doing 2D stuff is all about solving the big design problems. So that way when I'm doing 3D, I have less stuff to think about. So some designs I go like a lot more into detail, but in general I keep them pretty loose. Like imagine if this was like 3 times more refined, or like 2 times more refined, that's probably make my max. detail I'm generally going into, because like at this stage I can literally picture it all in 3D in my head for the most part, or at least like most of the design, so I don't need too much more than this. But in this case, there's still a lot of fundamental problems like with the design and questions I have. And so for me, it's like 2D is just for asking myself questions and then quickly answering them. And so one little trick I have is I just paint color in the whole profile. And then what I do after that is I just use this layer by control clicking the layer, copy it, change the value to like whatever I want the next piece to be, and then I just erase it. The parts I don't want to keep. And it's very important to like think about hierarchy. So trying to keep, I think oftentimes having a very clear hierarchy. So like one color is 70%. So for example, it's mostly white, and then it has the accent colors, and the accent color will oftentimes be like a darker value. You can do like dark or main and like whatever main you want. Like if you want dark or light to be main. In this case, I want the light to be the main and I want the dark to be the secondary color. And then so for this, I'm going to have a brighter metal, like a different metal for like pure metals, different value. And this will be like the pure metal, like aluminum or something. And then the rest of it will be plastic or some sort of painted metal. And so this stage, we're just getting like the main values blocked in. And then after this, we'll do like accents and like all of that good stuff that really makes it pop and feel like a finalized design. All right, and so now we're going to do the red, which is going to be, to me, kind of like the signature part of the design, like the thing that really is going to make it stand apart. And I want to echo it at least twice in very small bits, I think. And so it's just very strong shape. And then we'll have another circular piece here with red. And maybe even another piece of red here on this other circle. No, I don't like it. It's too much. It's too much. And then we'll use it again in a very, very small fashion. Very small amount. Let's see what else. We want to have a different color, so I'm going to do like a yellow. So you don't want only one color. And it'll just be like this thing here. And then we'll use the white to give it some sort of stripes. And let's just add some text. Obviously, I wouldn't deliver this to the client like this, but for now, it's fine. Yeah, whatever. We'll do something cool like MG big cool. No. Big boy. It's a big old gun. And then I think I want to have some sort of like a copper metal for this piece here. Just something to really like break up this color palette just a little bit. Add like a nice little accent. And I think it'll go really well with the red. Just need to make it the right color. Something like this, and then yeah, we can use this color again up front. And then in some of the connecting joints, just for a few more layers. And yeah, so okay, I don't understand how you were supposed to hold the gun. It's like a suitcase where you grab it from above with one hand. No, I'll find a place for the other hand later. So basically right now, you would hold it like, I have to angle this actually a bit. Like I have to angle the trigger, but you would hold it at your waist. So like, this is your dick, basically. And this is how the handle go. Around here. And then the trigger will be around here. Wait, let me do this one. Yeah, so the trigger will be here. Thumb here. Fingers here. I still need to fix the proportions of all this stuff, by the way. It's not good yet. And then, yeah, so the other one will probably have to be like some sort of handle here. Or, yeah, it just depends. You can also do like a front handle. So the other hand is like here. That actually might be the best bet. So we'll see. But for right now, for me, it's like less about this and just kind of finding a look I like, and then I will reverse engineer it later, you know what I mean? So, yeah, this is the first sketch, and I'm gonna call it good for today's class and for this first part of the Gumroad video, if I do release this on Gumroad, which I probably will. And yeah, you know, thanks for coming, you guys. And yeah, I can talk a lot more about this stuff, and I might do a live stream for this Patreon class mentorship tier when I work on this gun tomorrow. We'll see if I make one. And yeah, so thanks for coming to the 8th Patreon class, and I will see you guys later. Also, yeah, feel free to message me in the Discord if you have any more questions or anything like that. All right, see you in the next video.